The Lord be with you. And a reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Filled with the Holy Spirit, Jesus returned from the Jordan and was led by the Spirit into the desert for 40 days to be tempted by the devil. He ate nothing during those days, and when they were over, he was hungry. The devil said to him, "If you are the Son of God, command this stone to become bread." Jesus answered him, "It is written, 'One does not live on bread alone.'" Then he took him up and showed him all the kingdoms of the world in a single instant. The devil said to him, "I shall give to you all this power and glory, for it has been handed over to me, and I may give it to whomever I wish. All this will be yours if you worship me." Jesus said to him in reply, "It is written, 'You shall worship the Lord your God, and him alone shall you serve.'" Then he led him to Jerusalem, made him stand on the parapet of the temple, and said to him, "If you are the Son of God, throw yourself down from here, for it is written, 'He will command his angels concerning you to guard you, and with their hands they will support you, lest you dash your foot against a stone.'" Jesus said to him in reply, "It also says, 'You shall not put the Lord your God to the test.'" When the devil had finished every temptation, he departed from him for a time. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
All of us, from time to time, perhaps quite frequently, experience temptations in our lives. And some we handle successfully, and others not. I love the story about the woman who was shopping for a new dress and found the most stunning creation she had ever seen. But it was outrageously expensive, and it was on sale, $500. She knew she just had to have it. And she knew that if she didn't snap it up right away, it would no doubt be gone within the hour. Despite the mortgage payments and the overdue household bills, she bought it anyway. That evening, instead of telling her husband about the purchase, she decided she would just appear before him in the dress. She was absolutely convinced that her husband would love it. "How much did that cost?" he asked. "Don't you just love it, dear? It was a little expensive, but it was on sale. $500. "What?" he yelled. "How could you? You know we're scrimping to pay the mortgage. What were you thinking?" She explained that she was tempted beyond her ability to resist. Her husband said, "When you're tempted, tell the devil to get behind you." "I did," she answered. And he bent close to my ear and said, "It looks great from the back, too." You know, the great advantage of temptations is that they lie in wait. They are there before we are, and they get to make the first move. In this morning's gospel story of Jesus' temptations, the devil initiates contact. The devil decides the subject matter, and the devil suggests paths of action. This puts Jesus on the defensive right from the get-go. It was the Spirit who led Jesus into the desert, but after that, the devil seemed to be in command. The devil is so much in charge that he actually takes Jesus to Jerusalem and to the pinnacle of the temple. Only after that third temptation does Jesus muster the muscle to banish him. You shall not put the Lord your God to the test. This is how it is, isn't it? In the midst of temptation, we often feel we are being pulled along too quickly. We don't have enough time to think it through, to consult, to see the implications. This is because speed and pressure are essential features of temptation. The temptation conveys, you have to do this now. Think how good it will make you feel. Do it, just do it. Afterwards, however, when we look back, we say we had been led astray. We went along because we couldn't apply the brakes. We were no longer in control. The temptation had the upper hand. But then we ask ourselves, how did I get into this anyway? Temptations come more often than not when we, like Jesus, are in the midst of a desert experience. And by that I mean an experience where it appears that much of our support is gone, that there is nothing to hold on to. Perhaps an experience of utter loneliness, or of being lost or adrift, or an experience of an uncertain future, or an experience of devastation or loss, of stress or strain. I think, for example, of those who are unemployed and underemployed, who have been looking for work without success. The desert experience of being without a job, of being filled with confusion, resentment, and utter sense of failure. I think of our seniors who will be graduating this coming May who are fearing that all too soon they will have to leave their friends and this place they have come to know and love these past 4 years, and who now find themselves filling out applications, going for job interviews, waiting for letters and acknowledgments. What will the future bring? Will it bring happiness? The desert experience of an unknown future, of feeling isolated from close friends and familiar places, can seem overwhelming, just too much to handle. I think of a loved one, a spouse, a parent, a grandparent, a sibling, or a close friend who is suffering from some terrible disease or perhaps who had been in an accident and is not expected to live or has even died. In such experiences, in such times, that desert experience of devastation and loss, of emptiness and unbearable pain can be overwhelming. And the temptation is to find a quick fix. Desert temptations touch all of our lives, and with them come temptations for escape. But of all the temptations there is one that is most evil. It is not the temptation of sex or pornography or alcohol or cheating. It is not the temptation of power, riches, or glory. The evil of all temptations is nothing less than despair. A despair that comes from deciding to let go of God, or thinking that God has let go of us. The despair that comes from deciding to let fear of the future rule my life rather than trust in God. The temptation to give up on God and His love and compassion and mercy. Desert experiences are all too frequent in our lives. Temptations of the sort that confronted Jesus are with us at every turn. But for the person of faith, one can recenter and renew one's hope in Jesus' saving grace. Victory and salvation are within our grasp if we but turn to Him, strengthened by His word, by remaining close to Him in prayer, by receiving the Eucharist regularly, and especially in this Jubilee year of mercy, by receiving the sacrament of His forgiveness and peace in reconciliation. The victory can indeed be ours, as St. Paul reminds us this morning. If you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised Him from the dead, you will be saved. No one who believes in Him will be put to shame. Good news for all of us as we continue on our Lenten journey to Easter.